Awesome. Okay. And so this is actually recording to Kenny's cloud, which is great because I never recorded the cloud and I tried to do that the other day and I couldn't figure it out how to get the recording off of the cloud. So it'll work. Welcome everybody. Tonight we're doing element 24, which is your journey to higher consciousness. This is the secret sauce of this journey. So we know we always talk about element 4 and element 23, and this kind of ties both of them together. But and Dr. Anderson suggests taking 1 to 2 weeks to do this element. It's a short one and it's sweet, but it's really, really good. And so I'm just going to go over really quickly. We're going to explore how to grow, learn, and develop your consciousness, learn about the 4 levels of consciousness, decide what is truly important to you, and then talk about how you bring that into being. And so many things I learned in this that I didn't understand before, but now I totally get it. Now that I've been doing this for 6 years, I'm starting to, understand it. So just be patient, know that it takes a minute for this to all really sink in. I want to read you, not because y'all are babies, but I want to read you this paragraph on page 482 because I think it's really, really important. And I love how it just sort of starts the chapter off. As you develop emotional coherence or mastery, you're adding the keystone on which all adult psychological maturity is based. This skill set puts you firmly in the driving seat of your life. It puts you in control and really sets the stage for all future growth. Your level of awareness and self-awareness will continue to expand as you become a higher version of yourself. And I feel like it was last week that we talked about how, we reach a level of education or personal development education. A lot of us that kind of finishes at about 14, 15, maybe 16 years of age. And so, we learn other things, like maybe we go and we do, we go to college or we go ahead and we start a career and we learn things that are pertinent to that career. But as far as growing personally and emotional growth and mastery, unless we actively pursue that or think to actively pursue that, most people just the maturity they reach at 14 or 15, that's what we carry with us. And I'm like, dude, that's not great. Like, I'm raising children and I'm going, oh, but I get it. I totally get it. And I think that's been one of the more surprising things about this journey for me is, developing more of an awareness of my own consciousness and just kind of how I roll emotionally. And, my struggle coming into this journey was with anxiety and depression. And so a lot of that was just the lack of skills for, being aware of my own consciousness and how I was navigating my life and that I had any control over that. So this part of the journey, element 4, element 23, and element 24 have really helped kind of awaken me to the power that I have to change those things and what I was doing, that I learned to do up to 14 years of age that needed to be, expanded upon or changed. So he says most of us settle in at a rather fixed level of awareness and maturity because all of our world was asking us 30 years ago was to get to that level of maturity. But now everything's changing so fast in the world, we really need to progress our awareness and advance our level of consciousness. He likens it to being fish swimming in the water. So when you're a fish swimming in the water, you're in the water your whole life, but you're not really aware that you're in the water. You're just in the water. It's part of life. It's part of your existence. But when you build that consciousness, it's akin to getting out of the water that you're in, getting to deeper water, getting to broader water, and just really expanding the river or the water source that you're swimming in. It gets deeper. Our perception builds, our insight will grow. If you really want to dive into this, which I suggest you do, if this is something, if you really want to grow and take your wellness journey and move forwards with it the rest of your life, you can hop back into the Habits of Health book, part 1.6, You in Charge of Yourself, Setting Up for Success. That's a really great complementary read to go with these three elements I keep referencing. So it'll help you. One of the things I want to do tonight or get you thinking about tonight is y'all, this is a rabbit hole you can really go down. But we're going to just kind of play around on the surface. But Dr. Anderson is just starting about talking about the 4 levels of consciousness. So one of the things I think, I'm not sure if it happens in here or if it goes into depth in the Habits of Health book that complements this, but just kind of figuring out which level of consciousness you are. And then that's a beautiful, fun invite into saying, well, gosh, okay, I'm here. What would it take to move to the next level? So by the time we finish high school, I talked about this a minute ago, we've learned a skill set that allows us to negotiate our world, much like a cookbook. While we're in this phase, it's common to have the orientation that it's us against the world. We have a tendency to blame everything either on ourselves or on someone else. We're very much about our identity, and we may feel separate to society. Many people, unfortunately, get caught in this level for their whole life and never work on growing out of it. And, remember in element 4, what do we talk about? We talk about the drama triangle, being a victim, a villain, or a hero, right? So that is that mode of thinking that he's talking about. That's the us against the world mode of thinking. So he says, if you're a victim, you never rise above the struggles of everyday life. And many people live comfortably at this level. If you're at this level, you'll find yourself below the line a lot. So that means you're acting out of your emotions all the time. You very rarely access your thinking brain. It's usually a feeling of scarcity. So if you have a scarcity mindset, you might be operating at that level. That in scarcity meaning not enough love, money, friends, that there's a threat to your security, your approval, or your control. You'll have a tendency to blame and find fault, and your ego is in charge and wants to be right all the time. That is where I was 100% coming into this journey. I'll tell you right now, and one of the biggest things I had to fight was my ego. And I had control issues about a lot of things. So it's been really freeing to tamp that bad boy down and start to have a little faith and relinquish control and open my heart and my mind to stepping outside of needing to know how everything's going to work out and just stepping out there and doing things. So those are my personal comments for that section. So Dr. Anderson says the way to progress at this level is knowing where you are and shift back above the line. So, in element 4, we're asked to pay attention to that victim, villain, hero mode, because all of them rob us from the ability of that above the line thinking. Remember, we talked very early on in our journey about the power of stop, challenge, choose. And when I went through this book the first time, stop, challenge, choose was about food, right? Like somebody brought donuts, so I better stop and pause and go, do I really want to eat this donut? It's going to ruin my, all the good stuff I've done today. Is it worth it? And then my choice would be, no, I'm not going to have the donut. I'm going to go have my s'mores bar in 15 minutes when my alarm goes off. And that's what I'm going to do, right? So I mastered that pretty early on, but we use that same thing to stop, challenge, and choose that victim, villain, hero mode as well. So we're taking it to the mental nutrition up here for that same tool. And it's amazing because at the time I started this, I had a daughter going into being a teenager, and she is so good at pushing my buttons. Now I'm very excited because she's coming home tomorrow from college, and I haven't seen her since August at home. So that's exciting. And we've grown a lot. But in those moments of her being a teenager and the eye rolling and everything, stop, challenge, choose served me well, because instead of reacting to her blatant rudeness, I could pause. I could invite my emotion to leave and me to look at what's going on hormonally with her, where she's operating in her life. And instead of reacting to that, I can actually respond and help her manage that and grow as a human being. So stop, challenge, choose is where we start. If we are in that victim, villain, hero triangle, that stop, challenge, choose moment allows us to shut down the Labrador brain and switch into the thinking brain and actually start having some resolutions to things. And it takes the ego out of the question, because now you're just looking at it from the point of view of, well, what would be an intelligent way to respond to this? Or is there something I can do, to change the outcome of this that would make sense? It would be better. So level 2, let's move on to level 2 on page 486. Actualize self. We're now moving beyond what was taught to us, and we're ready to explore what really matters to us as an individual. And we need to figure out what works best for us in the world. We may even change our orientation and identity as we find out what is important to us, thereby moving beyond the cookbook we learned and grow up with. I love what he says here. This, I want to have this tattooed somewhere where I'm going to look at it all the time. I don't know what body part that would be, but I want it tattooed there. Discomfort is the price of a meaningful life. It means you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to grow and learn. So those of you who are on your journey, you know, you'll get to your goal, you'll graduate, you'll transition off of the fuelings, and then maybe you get really comfortable, like you get really good at maintenance. And then you start to go backwards, because in that, you know, if you just kind of stop progressing, you put the life book away, you're just kind of like, oh, I know how to do this, you will start going backwards. You know, Carol and Val, y'all have been with me through this life book for quite a while. I think maybe, is this maybe your second time through, Carol, or I feel like second time? Yep. And Val, this is your second or third time. Third time, yeah. So, and this is my like fifth time. So, and I don't know, Sonia and Joyce and Julie, I don't know how many times y'all have been through this book. But okay, twice. All right. So Sonia knows, yeah. So I mean, this is, and every time we go through it, we grow a little more, we learn a little more. So at this level, we're taking responsibility for our life, and we're making the decision to be in charge. So, you know, my big thing this year was I was getting comfortable, and I've gotten to where now when I get comfortable, it makes me uncomfortable, because I know comfort zones are not a safe place or a good place for me. I need to be growing, right? So, at this level, you're going to define what you want, and then you can move toward making it a reality, right? So when you get to a goal, which is just a marker on the trail of life, that's great, but you've always got to have another goal that you're going for. And it doesn't have to be necessarily a physical goal. It can be a mental goal. It can be a spiritual goal. It can be an emotional goal. It can be a social goal. You know, I just want, whatever it is. But you want to have ones that you're constantly working toward, because as you know, your wellness is a tapestry. So whatever goal you're working towards in whatever realm it is, you will be utilizing all your healthy habits to do that. And that keeps you in momentum, and it keeps you in that growth. The Habits of Health is your operating manual with the strategies, tactics, and guidance to help you become a higher version of yourself. This will lead to optimal, healthier, well-being, and probably a more successful life, is defined in the last chapter of the book. So, and it's so true. Our sleep matters, our hydration matters, our surroundings matter, our emotion like all of that matters. If any of those start to fall, we feel it, don't we? For those of us who've been doing this long enough, if you're like trucking along and you're like, I feel out of sorts, and you go, oh, for the last 3 weeks, I've been getting 6.5 hours of sleep. I need to focus on that. You know, we are building that awareness and that consciousness of something's not right. There's a habit I'm missing, you know, and then we focus back in and we get it tuned back in. If you pay attention to the secondary choices, that will set you free, and it leaves you open and curious with a desire to grow. So, you know, we're building these healthy habits, those 6 healthy habit areas, really get familiar with them, and just kind of building an awareness of how you're doing with those. And when you feel off, step back for a minute and go, well, how, you know, I've, you know, because I'll tell you what's happened to me twice now on this journey is I'm trucking along, things happen. I'm not a natural grazer. I don't know if any of you are like that, but before I started this journey, I could go till noon or 1 o'clock before I realized, oh, I haven't eaten today. So being a grazer is something that I still, if life gets hectic or busy, so I have to really watch it during the holidays, right? Because I'm all over the place. I have to keep true to being a grazer. Or what happens if we quit grazing? We get to the end of the day, and even if we eat something healthy, we're going to eat until bedtime, and then we're going to feel horrible, and then we're not going to sleep well because we ate too much, and then we're going to start gaining weight because our metabolism wants to store everything. So I know that that's something with me that I have to pay attention to. And I have a desire to do that. Like that's totally, it's not hard. I just have to notice and be aware, hey, a season's coming up where Allison's going to be kind of busy. This is when she quits her grazing habit. I need to pay attention to that. If you look at the structural tension chart, talking a little bit about taking personal responsibility for our actions, you know, I definitely started off this journey like this, very closed and defensive and, you know, challenging what my coach would tell me. I'm sure she's really loved that. God rest her soul. She was a great woman, and taking me on as a client was something else. But she did her magic on me, and the program did its magic on me. So you start off closed, defensive, committed to being right, very ego-centered. Your secondary choices, when you stop, challenge, choose, they shut down the Labrador, the emotional, the victim, villain, hero triangle, and they allow us to be open and curious, wanting to learn, wanting to grow, open to feedback, right? Abundant thinking and action-based. And then next thing you know, we're healing, we're healing, we're healing. So we're just increasing awareness. I tell people when they ask me about what is an Optavia journey, you know, is it about these fuelings? And I go, look, the fuelings have a very specific job on the journey, but the main focus of Optavia in this wellness journey is building awareness, like shutting off the autopilot and stepping back and looking at everything I'm doing in my life and going, all right, that serves me. All right, that's dragging me down. Got to change that. All right, definitely could do better in this area here. And then just building an awareness. And, you know, it's so cool. And what I love to hear from other people that are on the journey is how they go, you know, I used to worry that I would go back to where I was when I started. And we all shift, you know, we'll all gain 10 pounds and go, oh, what happened? And then but we've built an awareness now, and you can't turn that off. Once you're aware of it, you can't turn it off. So you know, and in knowing, then you have a choice. Well, what am I going to do with this information that I know is going on here? You know, and then you just work towards getting back to where you were. On page 488, desire, decision, and focus practice, you can become the dominant force in your life. And, you know, it says your coach remains integral to your growth and process. They do. You know, I still talk with my coach, and you know what she does? She points me back in the life book. She goes, girl, you know where you need to go. It's element 4. Hop in there, and then let's talk about it. She helps me with my accountability. You know, I know some of y'all in here are my clients, and we definitely hold each other accountable, and we touch base when we need to, right? Even those of you who have been on the journey for a long time, you set up accountability times with your coach, and it's wonderful. We're here for you throughout your process. And I mean, I still talk to my coach, and I'm 6 years in. Do I need her all the time? No. You know, because I've taken this mantle on myself to grow and learn. But when I struggle, sometimes she can help me build an awareness in an area where I'm just having a blind spot. That's all. Let's go to the next level. So we did level 2, level 3, integrated self. This level of development requires you to have mastered emotional literacy. Lordy help, I hope I reach this one someday. This is the one that I really would like to reach, but I'm not there yet, but we're working on it. You've done the work in the areas of your thinking that have not served your best interests. It's amazing. I'll think I'm doing pretty great, and then something will happen, a life event, and one of these bad boys will pop up, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't know you were still living in there. Okay, cool. Well, let's work on that. This is the level where you're beginning to master both how you operate internally, but also how you interact with others in your surroundings in a highly effective way. I'm definitely working on this right now. One of the things that I think about a lot is inner peace. Because if you can have inner peace when everything around you is going bananas, that is some incredible emotional literacy right there. And, you know, it's ego got to get smushed down a little bit. It's a calmness within the storm. And there are things you have to do to nurture that inner peace, right? And this is the beginning of where that's built, that integrated self. By the time you've mastered this level, you've completed most of your major development work, and you should have resolved any emotional baggage. All right, well, that takes time. And a lot of times, sometimes we think we've resolved some emotional baggage, but something down the road will trigger it. And next thing you know, you're opening up that suitcase again, like, shoot, I thought I threw this out. That's okay. It takes time, especially if it's a suitcase, a bag that you've been carrying around a long time in your life. So don't get upset when it reappears. It just means there's a little bit more work that needs to be done. But when you're integrated, you're not rigid or chaotic in any of your interactions. You're able to switch into that thinking brain. You're able to not jump to an emotional reaction, but to instead pause and go, all right, let's get creative. Let's see what's going on here. And that is a very peaceful way to operate in your life, and you can handle pretty much anything. You're internally stable. So that's that piece I was talking about. Flexible, adaptable, and you can see only confidence and energy in your future. You're fully capable of making choices and creating change in your life. So it takes a minute to get here. And the changes that you've done in the first two levels help build your confidence in the kind of heavy duty change that's going to occur in the integrated self level. This is a goal for everyone that starts this journey to optimal health and well-being. So at some point, if you're not here already working on it, you will get here. I'm finally working on this one 6 years in. Probably gonna take me a while, but just know that it's coming. And I'm certainly not good at it, but it gives you a chance to learn. Like, I really want to build that inner stability, that inner calm, that inner peace, where I can operate from that place. At this level, having a conscious mentor that's more advanced than you is important. It is, of course, also essential to have a lot of deliberate practice. So that's where I get into personal development stuff, but also just really working on building that awareness of the drama triangle and where I am and how I'm not operating from that. I refuse to operate in that. My daughter's coming home. That might change this weekend, but we're going to try really hard to not operate in the drama triangle. Page 490, level 4, the selflessness self. At this level, life really has no struggles. Wow. Can you guys imagine? Like, that's amazing. We're no longer frustrated, judgmental. Negative emotions are gone from our days. We're compassionate all the time. Life is happening through us, and we feel very connected to something bigger than us. And this state continues to grow as we develop our spirituality and connect to a higher level of consciousness, either through our religion or our own spirituality. Dr. Anderson goes on to say his reason for describing these 4 levels of development is to make the point that beyond our current perspective, there is always possibility to grow and learn more. And I love that. I want to do that up until the Lord calls me home. So when it comes to real transformation, to be able to change and widen our perspective is much more powerful than just giving you more knowledge or skills or experience. When we can see the world through new eyes, everything changes and we're equipped to fully embrace the world. So this is so amazing. And I hate to always bring it back to me, but I'm the only shoes I've ever walked in is me. So, with the depression and the anxiety, being able to live in a selflessness self helps me not get taken down by other people that are in a different part of their journey. Like when we pour into others, not having it. Have you ever been around someone who you feel like after you've been with them, they've sucked the life out of you? They don't mean to, but it just, where they are and what they're going through, it just sucks the life out of you. So when you're in the selflessness self, you can operate from a place where that is protected. That doesn't happen. You can still, be with this person and nurture this person and give good energy to this person, but it doesn't deplete you anymore. You also you just see them from a different space, a non-judgmental space, and being able to see people where I was when I started this journey, and have love and compassion for them and want them so much to be able to heal the way I was able to heal. It's a really cool feeling to operate from that place. And I feel like everybody who takes on this journey, you can start to feel that way as you move along this path. The last piece of the puzzle of becoming the dominant force in your life and having a healthy mind is to organize your life around what matters most. And that's hard. I'm going to say that's hard. I think it's hard because you've really got to dig deep to really think about, the world is telling you, well, this matters and this matters and this is important and that is important. And you've got to be able to strip through all that garbage and find out what matters most to you. Each of us has something planted deep down inside that is who we are and that matters most to us. And to be able to know what that is and bring that into being, and you put your focus and your energy and your time into creating from that space, that is a level of fulfillment that is amazing. And that is part of your health. When you are fulfilling that calling inside of yourself in what you do and the way you live, when you wake up and your feet hit the floor and you go about your day, it just, not only does it help you accomplish your goals, but you feel fulfilled. When your head hits the pillow at night, you feel fulfilled. When you used to lay down and worry about, well, I didn't accomplish this today, or, today was hard because blah, blah, blah. That stuff goes away because when your head hits the pillow, you think about how fulfilled you are from doing what mattered most to you today, whether it's serving some other in some way, or creating something that's important that you're putting out into the world, that you're sharing with others. It doesn't have to be anything like, not everybody's Dr. Ray creating some kind of system of wellness. It doesn't have to be something huge, but it's whatever it is, it's huge to you. He talks about, creator and creation, it just feeding back into each other. This is really deep, and it's, he talks about the book Identity by Robert Fritz, and it goes into more depth about using your thinking brain to determine what you want and keep yourself and your emotions out of the equation. And that's hard. That's hard. I'm an emotional person. I'm an artistic person. A lot of what I do comes from an emotional fountain. So to be able to separate that and get in my thinking brain and see it outside of that equation is definitely a skill that I don't have, but I know that I can get there. It's just going to take building that awareness. But that's pretty much, it's the nuts and the bolts. It's the secret sauce of this journey. It's the secret sauce of lifelong wellness is just this awareness. And I love these 4 levels. And, this week I would, if you have time, take some time and figure out where you are in those 4 levels, because that'll help you kind of figure out what to concentrate on, what to be thinking about. And when I say concentrate on, I just mean build an awareness of, and feel the difference as you nurture that awareness. Feel what's changing. Feel how the way you're looking at things feels different. Feel when you go into a situation where before it would have gotten you all knotted up or drained you, and go, wow, I totally navigated that and I feel fine. You're going to start to notice that happening. So does anybody have any questions? I feel like this is so much. Again, if you want to go and do a little bit of a deeper dive, I believe it's 1.6 in the Habits of Health book is so good. 1.6, you in charge of yourself, setting up for success. But awareness allows space for accountability, and accountability allows space for growth because it builds confidence, and it makes for healing. And it really does move us into an incredible new place in our journey moving forwards. If you don't have this, then all the awesome stuff the nutrition did is probably going to fall by the wayside, because it takes this to be aware of your habits, to be aware of, when you feel off, being confident about stepping back and looking and going, what do I need to work on? And then once you've mastered that, and you get good, you might have a conversation with yourself like, come on now, you know better. Why are you skipping meals? Why didn't why you haven't drank water for 3 days? Come on, what's going on with you? We've all been there. We've all done it, but to know that and to be aware and go, that's all it is. And then to be able to dial that back in and feel like $1,000,000 again. It's just so empowering. And it's such a freedom from, it's not about beating yourself up. It's not about having guilt or shame over choices. It's about being the master of your own health and wellness, and knowing with confidence that you know what it is you need to do, and then just doing it, So that's all I got for tonight. You guys got any questions? No. All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining me. This is so good. It's funny. I shouldn't say this because the recording is on. These next chapters where it gets into, kind of more nitty gritty stuff is not as exciting to me as these mindset awareness building chapters. These are the ones that just speak to my heart. But we will get through. There's not much left. By the way, just so you all know, I think Kenny said we are going to be finishing this up because there's 26 chapters. So we'll be finishing this up by the beginning of December. And then we're not going to start the life book over until the beginning of January. We're just going to enjoy the holidays. And then we'll start back up then. So I'm going to stop recording. All right.